I'm Jeff Weisler, and I'm here with Beverly McKenzie, and we are talking about closures. Closures, those things.
For bottles, not relationships or things in our past, right?
Hope not.
Let's not. I only got a few minutes.
That's another story.
That's another story.
So, from a wine point of view, we've got lots of options. We've got this option, the cork. Some people think that it belongs in the Smithsonian, like it's going away. The cork. We hope to bring it back. Then we've got, and that's natural cork. Then we've got these things called synthetic corks. Then we've got these things called Stelvins or screw caps. And then we've got this little device over here.
Yeah, these are sexy.
Called the Vino Seal. These little glass things. So what I want to say first and foremost about closures is there's been a lot of reasons over the last handful of years why to go away from cork. And what I want to say about cork right now is what we're in favor of with Conscious Wine is going back to cork. And we'll come back to why a little later in this video.
So you want to start, I'm going to let you hold this cork, Jeff, because this is just natural, fresh cork, pretty much just punched out of a piece of cork bark. And then we also have some others. And when you look at them really closely, they have different textures to them. This is just simply a composite cork where they have punched out other parts of the bark that they have determined do not have TCA.
TCA.
TCA, let's just say it's a 3-letter acronym that stands for damp, wet newspapers, musty basements, and mushrooms. And it's not something you want present in your wine or your winery or in your mouth. And so that's what happens with cork sometimes. It can contain TCA.
So that's when someone says a wine is corked, they're referring to the presence of TCA.
Of TCA.
Okay.
So there are a couple ways where companies and wineries have chosen to get around.
Two different.
Yep. They've chosen to get around this. And one is just a traditional composite cork, which is taking out chunks of the best parts of the bark of cork and just gluing it back together and making a new cork. And the second is, and this is a special cork, I forget the name of the company, but it's a patented process called Diamant. And what they do is they harvest it traditionally according to the seasons. They take it back to their facility. They take the best parts of the cork. They grind it into a flour. They then treat it to be against TCA. So it makes it 99.8%. The percentage might be off, but that close TCA removal, that's their guarantee. And then they put it all back together into essentially a natural cork closure.
But there are synthetic ingredients that are used in that treatment
In the
process.
treatment process,
Okay.
yes.
So, natural cork.
Natural cork.
So, the cork forest is a sustainable resource. It is actually a resource where cork is harvested from the tree every 9 years, and the way it's farmed, the cork tree is not cut down.
Right.
So it allows the forest and cork to still be a sequesterer or a gatherer of carbon, which is the quote-unquote bad guy, in this particular greenhouse gas emission reality of our world today. And they really provide a positive place in the environment, even though it's being used as a crop.
Right, harvesting is not bad for the plants or for the environment because it's because the plant grows.
Right.
It regenerates itself.
It's regenerating. Every 9 years is when a harvest occurs.
Right.
And the other piece that's there, it's really important, is there's biodiversity. There's animals that run through these forests. So the way agriculture can become a monoculture or a one-crop environment, what still gets to exist here is this level of biodiversity and animals running wild that mirrors more of a natural environment. Much, much, much better than many other forms of agriculture. And cork is used for many things. Wine is just, this is just one small aspect.
And you can recycle corks.
And you can recycle them. There are companies where they're taking the corks and they are recycling them into, for example, the packaging that becomes the insides of shipping containers. So there's
and
lots
flooring and things like that.
Lots that can be done. So it is definitely. There's many positives here where...
Now that we've proselytized about the cork.
Exactly. When we get into these guys, these synthetic corks, this is not a renewable resource. There's things being used to create these that are needed for the future, and we're mining and causing erosion and causing problems and using lots of chemicals to create these things, and it's not a sustainable resource. Now, same can say for this, because the ingredients of this don't exist, are not a renewable resource. What we're taking from the earth to make these is not a renewable resource. But the reality and why these are used is because you don't get corked bottles.
Yeah.
So when you think about sustainability in this whole deal, the reality here is this is sustainable for the planet in a much, much better way. But there is a percentage of wine, somewhere over 5%, of
One
bottles,
out of every 10.
of bottles that will end up with some element of that three-letter magic acronym,
TCA.
which once you've smelled it, you get it. And it certainly does nothing to enhance the wine. And
It robs it of fruit and just leaves this bitter, musty flavor on your palate.
so
So this is, granted, these are not renewable, but wineries see this as a guarantee for fresh wine for their consumers. You understand.
and these closures,
Yeah.
vino seals, made of glass.
Right.
And they provide an interesting option. But when we add it all up at this point, I'm coming back to this guy, the real thing, the cork. And I think it supports a sustainable future for all of us and provides the best possibility in terms of creating closures for bottles that can support a vital world for our kids, and beyond.
So I shouldn't take stock out of my corkscrew fund. I'll
Well,
be using those for quite a while.
well, you could.
I hope so.
So, here's to cork.
Here's the cork.
Okay.
Cheers. Ding!